All right, so slope and rate of change.
How do you erase it?
If you click up here, see that? Like that. Okay, colors, whatever you want up there. All right, so it really should say, and between those two because slope is rate of change. They mean the same thing. So a number which is used to indicate the slope of a line, as well as indicating whether the line is tilted up or down. It is the ratio of the vertical change, which we call the rise, to the horizontal change, which you've probably heard called the run. Okay, so we indicate slope by the letter M. That's why when we talk about slope-intercept form, we have y equals mx plus b. M is your slope. So we just find it by rise over run. What this means is delta y over delta x. Delta means change in, so the change in y divided by the change in x. That's what we were doing on those tables, right? That you're going to have a quiz over, where you find the change in y divided by the change in x. Okay, this formula is the formula to find slope between 2 points. This is on your star formula chart. You never have to memorize this. You just have to know how to use it. So what this means is if I'm given 2 points, and we'll use this here in just a minute, so you don't have to write this down. Let's say I'm given 2 points. I can go plug those into this and find the slope of the line between those 2 points. We would call this x1, call that y1, call this x2, y2. And you would just go plug those numbers in. So y2 minus y1 would be 4 minus 2, and then x2 minus x1 would be 3 minus 1. And then you'd simplify and get 2 over 2, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. So the slope of that line between those 2 points would be 1. Okay, but we'll use that a lot more here in just a few minutes. Okay, so 4 different types of slope you could have. So a line with positive slope, think of it like positive correlation. It's going up from left to right. And then a line with negative slope, once again, think of it like negative correlation, going down from left to right. Okay, a horizontal line going straight left to right has a slope of 0. And a vertical line is a slope that is undefined. And let's talk about why. Okay, so if I were to pick out 2 points here, that point and I'll say that point. This point is at negative 3, 0, and this point is at negative 3, 2. If I were to try to use the slope formula, y2 minus y1 would be 2 minus 0, and then x2 minus x1 would be negative 3 minus negative 3. Well, the problem that occurs is your denominator becomes 0. And can you divide by 0? No. So that's why a vertical line will always be undefined. If you're given 2 points, you can spot it because the x's are the same. Okay? If the y's are the same, that's a horizontal line. Like if I were to pick out 2 points here, let's say that's at 2, 1, 2, 3, let's say 4, 2, 4. And this point is at 0, 4. So the y's are the same there, right? That would give you a slope of 0. If you did the slope formula, the numerator would be 0. You can divide 0 by something. It's always 0. You just can't divide by 0. Okay, so that is why you get a 0 slope for a horizontal line and an undefined slope for a vertical line. Okay, you won't necessarily have to explain that. I just wanted you to see why. All right, so turn the page. We're going to look at using that slope formula that we mentioned earlier. I'm going to rewrite it up here. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, until you get really used to doing this, always label the points. That way you easily see what goes where. So we'll call this x1 and y1. We'll call this x2, y2. really does not matter which point you call 1 or 2. All that matters is that if I call this x1, that has to be y1. Okay, you can't say x1, y2. They have to be the same number. Then just go plug those numbers into this formula. So y2 minus y1 would be 9 minus 7. And then x2 minus x1 would be negative 2 minus 3. Okay. It's minus 3 because the formula says minus x1. Okay. Now, most common mistakes are made at this point, and it's with signs. So I would suggest using your calculator. Something like 9 minus 7, that's easy to do. We get 2, right? But down here, there's nothing wrong with putting it in the calculator just to make sure you get it right. So negative 2 minus 3, we get negative 5. So there is our slope. Our slope is negative 2/5. And we're not going to turn it into decimals. We're going to leave it as a fraction. We need a fraction in order to graph it. Okay, if we were to graph those 2 points, 3, 7, and negative 2, 9. It doesn't matter with the negatives, with the numerator or denominator. I'm going to show you why here in just a second. All right, so graph those 2 points, and we'll talk about counting the slope from the graph. All right, so if I want to get the slope from a graph, first decide sign. That way you don't have to worry about am I counting up or down. If you pick out the sign first, that's taken care of. So is this line going up or down? Down. So would that be a positive or negative? Negative. If I do that first, I don't have to worry about sign again. All you have to remember now is it's vertical change divided by horizontal change. So the vertical change between those 2 points is 2. The horizontal change, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we get negative 2/5. Okay, if you do it that way, some other people have learned it where you have to, if you go down, it's negative. If you go up, it's positive. That can get confusing depending on which point you start at. If you pick out sign first, you'll never miss that part. Then it doesn't matter whether you're going up or down. You just have to count the vertical change. Okay, so let's look at the next one. So x1, y1, x2, y2. So y2 minus y1 is 6 minus 6. What's that going to give you? 0. So we should already be kind of getting an idea what this line is going to look like. And then for x2 minus x1, 9 minus negative 4. So that gives you 0 over 9 minus negative 4. Oops, hope you can see it. That gives you 13. But it really doesn't matter what's down there, right? Because what's 0 divided by anything? 0. So our slope is 0. So when you get a 0 slope, you should get a line that is horizontal. So negative 4, 6, and then 9, 6. And we did. Okay, how can you remember that horizontal means running sideways? Who knows that? What's something in the distance you look at that is going this way? What do they call it? The horizon, right? So that's how you can remember horizontal is running sideways. All right, moving down to the next one. What do you notice in these 2 points is the same? Yeah, the x's, right? So now we're going to get a vertical line, which means when we find our slope, here's x1, y1, x2, y2. 1 minus 4, y2 minus y1. And then negative 8 minus negative 8. So that's going to give you negative 3 over 0. That's where you, if you didn't spot it in the beginning, you're going to realize now I can't divide by 0. So that is an undefined slope. When you get undefined, that should tell you when you draw your line, it's going to be a vertical. So negative 8, 4 and negative 8, 1. So you get a vertical line. Okay, so we've seen a negative slope, we've seen a zero slope, and undefined. We're going to look at a positive slope now. So labeling these again, x1, y1, x2, y2. So we got y2 minus y1, 4 minus 8, and then x2 minus x1, 1 minus 7. What does 4 minus 8 give us? Negative 4, and 1 minus 7. Negative 6. Alright, so two negatives turn into what? Positive, so we know it's going to be positive. We just have to reduce that fraction. What goes into 4 and 6? 2. So 2 goes into 4 2 times, 2 goes into 6 3 times. So we get a slope of 2/3. That was a positive slope. So if we were to graph those 2 points, 7, 8, and then 1, 4, and just for practice again, picking out the slope from the line, which we'll look more at. This line going up or down? Up, so that tells you it's positive. Count your vertical change, 1, 2, 3, 4, over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we get 4 over 6, which we already know up here reduces to 2/3. Okay. If you can reduce the fraction, that tells you there was a point on that line between those two, and that point is right there. If I look at that point, I'm going up to right 3. Okay, so the closer you can pick 2 points, less chance you're going to have to reduce a fraction. All right, any questions so far? Top? All right, so now this is what I went and gave you a preview of just a second ago. Picking out the slope from the line. What you're going to do is you're going to pick out 2 points on the line. Any 2 points. Now try to pick points that are close together though. So I'm going to say that point, and I'm going to follow my line until I see another point that crosses one of those intersections. Now I can pick points way apart, but like we mentioned a moment ago, that's going to mean you're going to have to reduce a fraction in the end. If you pick them close, you won't have to do that. Okay, so using those 2 points, and I'll show you 2 different ones here in just a minute too. Is this line going up or down? Up, so we got a positive slope. Your vertical change is 2, horizontal change is 1. So my slope is 2 divided by 1, which is just 2. If you want to leave it as 2 over 1, that's okay too. It'll help you remember when you graph, which we'll do in just a minute. Go to the one to the right of that. Pick out 2 points again. I'm going to use that one, and there's a point here. I'll make it very obvious on anything, quiz or anything like that. I'm going to say those 2 points. Okay, so is this line going up or down? Down. So that means we have a negative slope. I'm going to go ahead and put my negative. That vertical change is 1, 2, 3, and my horizontal change is 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3 over 4. So our slope is negative 3/4. Okay, go down to the next row. What type of line is this? Zero slope, right? Because it's a horizontal line. So you don't have to count anything. That's a zero slope. So while we're on that topic, look at the very last one. That's a vertical line. What's that slope? Yep, undefined. So whatever makes you remember which one's which out of those 2. It's easy to get those flip-flopped. All right, so going back to the one above that last one. So has this line got a positive or negative slope? Positive. Okay, we got 2 points. I'm going to use that one and that one. Okay, but you can't pick wrong points. Any 2 points will work. So my vertical change is 1. My horizontal change, 1, 2, 3. So I get a slope of positive 1/3. Okay, then the last one, which is the bottom left one, it's the only one we haven't done yet, is that line got a positive or negative slope? Negative. Pick out any 2 points again. I'm going to use that one, and it's like the next one I have is all the way down. Or there's one right here. I'll use that. So that vertical change would be 1, 2, 3. Horizontal change would be 1. So -3/1, which is just -3. Okay, before you turn the page, let me go back to, just to show you something here. Let me go back to, let me use this one over here, the first one. Let's say I were to pick points way far apart, there and there. You're going to get the same answer, you're just going to have to reduce a fraction at the end. So if I were to count that vertical change, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Horizontal change, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And what's 12 divided by 6? Still get 2. Okay, so that's just showing you any points work, but make it easy on yourself. Pick 2 points that are close. That's a lot of counting. Easy to miss one when you're counting that much. All right, turn it to the last page. So here we are going to create a line with these slopes. Everyone might have different lines. They're all going to be going the same direction though, because I don't give you a point to start at. So if I'm going to create a slope of -2/3, pick any point, wherever you want to start. I'm going to put a point there. Okay, so all you have to remember now, if it's negative, and I'm drawing the line, I'm going to start by going down. So I'm going to go down 2, and then I'm always going to go right. 1, 2, 3. So there's my line. Now on these, since you have to be careful which direction you're going, when you get done, just double check. If I had a negative slope, that line should be going down. Okay, if it's going up, we went the wrong way. Okay, go to the one to the right of that. Slope of 0. What does that line look like? Straight. Straight which direction? Horizontal or vertical? Horizontal. So draw yourself a horizontal line anywhere on your graph. And that has a slope of 0. Okay, go down to the next one. Okay, when you get a slope that is a whole number, put it over 1. That'll help you when you graph it. Okay, start by picking any point again. I'm going to pick that point. So this is a positive slope. So now we're going to start by going up instead of down. So we're going to go up 4 and then right 1. That's why we put it over 1. It will remind you to go right 1. Okay, so if you use the negative to decide whether to start up or down when you're graphing, you'll always go right. You never have to worry about going left. To start with? No. I could put a line here. I'm going to start a point here and go up 4, right 1. That would also be another line with a slope of 4. So that's what I'm saying. You could have a lot of different answers here, but they're all going to be going in the same direction. Okay, go to the next one. Once again, that's a whole number, so put it over 1. I'm going to start here this time. So this is -1, so we're going to go up or down. So down 1, right 1. last two, down the bottom row, slope of 3 over 2. So pick yourself a point to start again. I'm going to start right in the middle. We're going to go up or down on this one? Up. So we're going to go up 3, right 2. So there would be that line. And then last, undefined. What is that line going to look like? Right, it's going to go vertical. So undefined is vertical, horizontal is 0. All right, any questions with that? Second page here. No, I picked out any 2 points. It doesn't matter where you start. Any 2 points will work. Anything else? All right, so remember, this is not on your quiz today. This is the homework you'll do after the quiz. So we'll take our quiz, and then when you finish, you can use what time you have left to work on the homework. X and Y intercepts, and then linear equations and tables. All right, so all you need out is something to write with and your calculator. We'll talk about a few things when you get your quiz. So once you get through with notes, you're done with Apple Pencil for the day. I would plug it in for a few minutes. That way it stays charged. Let's see. Is any in this row not here yesterday? Okay, so y'all good? Want to take it or no? Want to wait? Kayla? Wait. What's that? Yeah, I'll come back. Want to take it or wait? Take it. Were you here yesterday? Yeah. You need all the things.